I did work from.
No, if I don't understand it,
Like virtual.
and I assume it's down.
Isn't that crazy? I know.
Like today, and I got that
Right.
email from
all this.
Right.
That it would just be.
talking about MFA.
The learning curve is so true.
Oh.
Endorse it to me.
Uh-uh.
Good evening. I would like to call to order the October 5th, 2021 Little Rock City Board of Directors meeting. We would like to welcome those that are in attendance as well as those watching at home or streaming online. Madam Clerk, if you would, please call the roll.
Director Hendricks? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Director Richardson?
Here.
Director Webb?
Here.
Director Pack?
Here.
Director Wright? Director Wyrick?
Present.
Director Compuris? Director Phillips? Director Adcock?
Present.
Vice Mayor Hines? Mayor Scott?
Present. We'll now ask City Director Doris Wright to please give us the invocation.
Heavenly Father, thank you for. And in order that we keep our eye on the people and who we serve. I lift up our first responders who are on the front line, and I pray for each and every one. And I ask that you be in the midst tonight. Amen.
Amen. May y'all please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Oh, I did. I had a
Chief Hubbard, if you would, please approach for Fire Prevention Week. As we've shared before, this is Fire Prevention Week, where we take time to pay honor and homage to the men and women of the Little Rock Fire Department and all that they do in the name of public safety and service and guardianship for the city of Little Rock. On behalf of the city of Little Rock, we are happy to proclaim this to be this current week, Fire Prevention Week. Thank you so much, and we'll have a few comments from Chief Hubbard, but also Chief Hubbard again, day in and day out, our Little Rock firefighters go above and beyond for the residents, the economy, tourists, to ensure that our city is safe and healthy. And we're grateful for that work. I want to make sure that you know how much we appreciate you all as we proclaim this to be Fire Prevention Week. Let's all give them a round of applause. Chief Hubbard.
Yes, sir. Mayor, to members of the board, good afternoon. And as the mayor just spoke, this is the recognition of Fire Prevention Week. The men and women of the Little Rock Fire Department, as I speak on their behalf, we say thank you to your continued support from each of you. It's been notated that the theme for this year is learn the sounds of fire safety, and that's the message we want to push out to the Little Rock community during this time of observation of National Fire Prevention Week. Thank you again.
We have five modifications for tonight's agenda. Item M1 is a resolution to authorize the transfer of funds to the Little Rock Port Authority.
Mayor, I had my hand up. I don't know why this is not working. Just one point of personal privilege. I want to acknowledge that you made recognition that the chief and the fire department go above and beyond duty in terms of our residents, our tourists, and our community at large. And I just really want to acknowledge personally and publicly tonight the leadership skills that our chief has brought and the new vision that he's brought to our city. And we're thankful and blessed and lucky to have him here.
Thank you so much, City Director Richardson. I apologize for not seeing your hand being up.
It's down now.
Item M1 is a resolution to authorize the transfer of funds for the Little Rock Port Authority. Item M2 and 3 are resolutions for the Little Rock Port to purchase land for economic development. Item M4 is a resolution for a contract with RX Benefits, the City Pharmacy Benefit Management, Item M5 is a resolution for a contract with Lincoln Financial for Group Life, Group AD and D, and long-term disability insurance. Have a motion?
So move.
A second?
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the consent agenda along with the items M1, M2, 3.
The consent agenda consists of a resolution to grant the authority to submit bids to purchase properties at the Arkansas State Land Commissioners 2021 auction to be used for neighborhood revitalization programs and for the purposes. A resolution to authorize the purchase of the property located at 3517 West 11th Street, offered for sale to the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, to be used for neighborhood revitalization programs and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to appropriate $98,439 from the city's 3/8 capital sales and compensating use tax proceeds to the Arkansas Livestock Show Association for capital improvements to the Arkansas State Fairgrounds. A resolution to authorize the city manager to transfer $5 million to the Little Rock Port Authority for land acquisition for use by the Little Rock Port Authority for economic prospect recruitment and for the purposes. A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a contract with Southport Properties LLC, Charles Thomas, Ruth Thomas, Charles R. Thomas Living Trust, and Ruth L. Thomas Living Trust for the purchase of approximately 300 acres of land for use by the Little Rock Port Authority for economic prospect recruitment and for the purposes. A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a contract with Jack Tyler Family LLC for the purchase of approximately 60 acres of land for use by the Little Rock Port Authority for economic prospect recruitment and for the purposes. That concludes the consent agenda.
Move for the adoption of the consent agenda.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, I've been having some computer problems.
Oh,
I
sorry.
had my hand raised.
Director, there's been a motion second, but Director Peck.
I apologize. I think I'm in the groove now. I'm sorry about that. Regarding M4, I'd like to table that for 2 weeks.
Regarding which one?
M4, the city's pharmacy benefit management.
Sure thing. Do want to make sure, Director Peck, that you're aware by doing that, that delays the time for our employees. Mr. Moore, did Mr. Moore go?
Yep. Point of order, Mayor.
Director Hines? Vice Mayor Hines?
M4 and M5 were not read under the consent agenda.
I agree. Oh, thank you. That's correct. It hasn't been read yet.
Sorry.
So we'll have to pull that down, Director Peck.
Thank you.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you now, actually, we're now
Citizens communication.
citizens communication. Joyce Dixon.
Well, hi, everyone. I'm going to be very brief. My name is Karen Zucardi. I am one of the candidates for the Ward City Director position to continue the legacy of the late Director Hendricks, who vocally and very passionately served our community. I want to thank you all and Mayor Scott for a fair and efficient process. I am sure that I speak on behalf of the rest of the candidates that we are equally excited to serve our community. Little Rock is at a critical stage, and the board has the opportunity to demonstrate that we are ready to meet the current needs and expectations of our society. I am proud to be a graduate from the Clinton School of Public Service. I am passionate about sustainable economic development and innovative entrepreneurship. I believe that problems are opportunity to make things better, and for the last 5 years, I have tirelessly worked as a volunteer for the betterment of Little Rock as part of the City Sustainability Commission, most recently serving as its chair. I am also very passionate and knowledgeable about entrepreneurship mentorship, and I have helped a large number of entrepreneurs to vision and work on their business dreams. As a Latina, I bring representation, diversity, and lots of hard work to the board. Although we have a lot of good things going on for our city, we still have a lot of challenges to address. It is important to hear the concerns and needs of our citizens and identify ways to help them find solutions. I am up to the task and willing to put the time in to understand through our citizens' eyes what those solutions are and the ones that make more sense. I appreciate the chance to talk to you all this evening, and I am hopeful for the opportunity to move forward in this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carty. Is Joyce Dixon available? Thank you, Ms. Dixon.
Good evening, Mayor Scott and Board of Directors. I'm here to talk about the demolition of the house at 3509 MLK. It's scheduled to be demolished. I don't have the exact date, but I'm here to see if we can not hold up until we can do more research on the property. It does have historic significance, but we need more time before they schedule it for demolition. And I'm just hoping that the board will consider giving us enough time to do our research.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dixon. Maybelline Miller.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maybelline Miller. I live at 3312 South Spring Street. I purchased a home. It's on a dead end. It's kind of close to the railroad. And the man that I purchased the home through, this realtor, he has never answered his phone since 2016, or he has never answered any of my emails or messages that I have left him. I have ridden the Union Pacific Railroad because I live near the railroad, and this home that I purchased, they are able to just rail up under this home and cause all types of problems to me and my family member. They are just revving up and taking the cars off of the trains and just riding round and round in a circle off and on all night long, revving up and idling, and the house is just jumping off its foundation. I had cameras put out there so that I would have proof with pictures and everything, but they put my cameras out with their drones and their lasers. They had lasers in all 4 cameras because I had cameras in all 4 directions. The police came out there. They told us that the railroad men are the only ones licensed to fly drones. They have 20 drones over my property at any given time. All of these things is harassment, and targeting is wrong. And they need to, the city, I have written the city. I've contacted the mayor's office. I've contacted a lot of city officials. They have never returned my phone calls. They have never returned my certified letters that I have sent. I have my receipts. I have all of my complaints, and they go unanswered. So Pete at the sewer department, he told me to come to one of the meetings and express my concerns.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Mayor, if I may,
Director Phillips.
I don't know the last speaker's name. Can you state the address for us again? What address is that?
The address is on a, it's on a dead end. It's 3312 South Spring Street. They are having a field day back there with us, flying their drones against our home. Windows are cracked. They're cracking the foundation of my home. My car's always in the shop where they just busting up under the street. It's like Afghanistan back there. And they're trying to force me to move out of my home. And they're not under the police jurisdiction. I've called and ridden the railroad as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dixon. Ms. Maybelline Miller. Mary Jones.
My name is Mary Jones. My topic tonight is Stop Elderly Abuse in Parkview Towers. Mayor, directors, audience, I stand before you this evening summoning directors Antoine Phillips and John Adcock, my at-large directors, because you represent the entire city of Little Rock. This request isn't for me because I have received an eviction notice. I have 5 days to get out or else. I have been retaliated against because I'm not afraid to speak out against the abuse. This woman is a convicted felon that has access to Social Security numbers and keys to every apartment. She comes in my apartment at will. When I inform her that it's a violation of the lease agreement, she says that she can do what she wants to because this is her apartment. I did some research and found out this could be true because her family lineage goes back to Governor Arbor Faubus. Her family played a great role in the construction of the building. Tenants can't play games of any kind in the sunroom. They can only do puzzles because anything else would be too loud. How loud can a 70, 80, and 90-year-old person be? Please help. This didn't begin with me. For over a decade, this has been going on, and it's time for it to stop. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Kathy Wells.
Good evening, Mayor Scott, City Directors. I'm Kathy Wells, President of the Coalition of Little Rock Neighborhoods. I'm here to continue the discussion about saving the Terry Mansion. I didn't get an answer to my letter, so we'll just visit in person. I'd like to suggest that we consider new uses for the Terry Mansion, which the city owns, yet it's neglected to the point repair estimate stands at $1.2 million. Chimneys crumbling. Today there's a crane there, but no workers to make repairs. But we do see some progress. Once repaired, this vacant 1840 house will be ready to provide a wide range of educational services that city officials tell us they want. In partnership with the public library, there's a big push on to expand broadband across the city, especially into low-income neighborhoods lacking this. How about a branch digital library at the mansion, wired to the maximum? After-school tutoring classes from the PIT program could be conducted there. Seniors in surrounding apartments could get continuing education courses at the mansion. Tourists could find a pleasant respite for a while as they check digital devices and plan their Little Rock stops. Food trucks could be invited to park out front for breakfast and lunch, providing refreshment, but not burdening the mansion with a commercial kitchen operation. Our friends at the Audubon Society could make the yard a backyard habitat for wildlife and teach classes to students and adults. You know, we really need more bat houses downtown. We'll have small, medium, and large rooms for workshops of all kinds. The city wants to provide more assistance to small business owners, so do library officials. This would be good for that. The art scene includes documentary filmmakers. So what if the city provided the lab needed to edit and complete a film here from the footage shot on the street? In fact, the first documentary could be restoration of the Terry Mansion, step by step. And then, of course, civic education should come next. Don't we need a video showing a day in the life of the mayor? And don't we need more videos depicting a day in the life of your city director? And how about a video of the Tales from the Crypt shows from Mount Holly Cemetery produced by the students at Parkview High School? And let's ask our historic preservation advocates what uses they suggest. They may even want some space there to pursue their own worthwhile activities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wells. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item 4.
A resolution to direct that in October 2021, a Small Business Advisory Council will be formed to advise the Little Rock City Board of Directors on policies affecting small businesses in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion second. Before we call the vote, Director Wright, I see your hands up. Yes, ma'am. There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item number 5.
A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Symetra for stop-loss insurance for the city's self-insured group health plan effective January 1st, 2022, and for the purposes.
Is there a motion to approve the, it's a resolution, I'm sorry, apologize. Director Adcock?
Yes. I have a question for either you, Mr. Moore, or one of the insurance people that was before us last week, please.
Yes, ma'am. What's the question?
On May the 4th of 2021, we passed a resolution, item number 3 on the agenda. It was for $390,000 for consulting fees for the insurance. Is this the product from that resolution?
No, ma'am. This is the city self-insured.
Okay, then what was this on May the 4th passed?
I don't have, could you share it with me? I don't have
That
it.
was for consultant services.
Made
It
it,
sounds like it's for item 5, 6, and M4.
if I think I understand, May 4th is, Mr. Moore, is that when we did our, Mr. Moore, you answer, please?
I believe, Mayor, members of the board, that would be the date we entered into the contract with JTS. And they are our consultant for health care benefits.
So is there anything to do with this self-insured insurance?
I mean, as the board is aware, the city has always had a broker, so to speak, to help guide our insurance selection, whether it's fully insured, self-insured. So this year, Stevens Inc. had been our broker for many years, but this year we went with JTS.
I'm sorry, Bruce, I can't understand everything you're saying on this system.
Okay, sorry.
So yes or no, did this
Yes.
$100,000 have anything to do with what we're looking at today on insurance? I have a copy of it here if somebody wants to hand it to Mr. Moore.
Yeah, that was correct. It's what I said. It was our contract with our new health insurance consultant. So yes, these items are related.
Thank you for answering because I felt like it did. And I can't understand how everything we're looking at today that we're asking to pass for $17 million or whatever the price was last week, and with what we did on May the 4th, how it matches up.
Health care, health benefits, especially after the Affordable Care Act, are really very complex. I think Director Compuris would agree. The city has always, as far as during my tenure, has always had a sort of a third party outside of our city staff that help guide our decision-making process. You all will remember on an annual basis, it really wasn't city staff presenting the recommendation, whether it was to go to the municipal league or Health Advantage or UHC, it was our third-party consultant. So on May the 4th, at a recommendation from the Human Resources Department, the city entered into a contract with JTS. And they are a consultant, and they are recommending these items that are before you.
Well, I was looking at the resolution that on May the 4th and everything. And Mayor, is this the proper time to ask to table this until we have time to look at this May the 4th in comparison with what we have tonight?
I would say, the board can, I think we first need to make sure we understand. I know Mr. Moore just shared it, so I'm gonna make sure I share it, maybe restate it so everyone understands. The city of Little Rock, for all of its operation, Mr. Moore, and please correct me if I'm wrong, HR periodically, from a period of either 3 to 7 years, hires a HR consultant. That consultant is effectively a broker, and that broker takes bids for, historically, it's been a fully insured plan. This board asked our consultant in 2020 to look for not only both a fully insured plan, but a self-insured plan. The broker went out and took requests for proposals from all of the insurers who provide both fully insured and self-insured. Last week, they presented all of those proposals to the city board. Those proposals constitute our health insurance plan to decide on. That the most cost-efficient health insurance plan that has been portrayed within the request for proposals has been a self-insured plan. That self-insured plan is the $17 million, which is cheaper than what we pay today in a fully insured plan. That plan was presented. There were two options, if you recall from the last presentation. Option one was a self-insured plan solely, where it shows that it creates a net benefit of less than $500,000. It also had an option two, where it says self-insured plan, and that the city would go into a critically integrated network in 23. What you have before you today as this option is a self-insured plan, not including a CIN. And it's still cheaper. So that's what you have before you. So the broker went out for a period of months and did a request for proposal. So every insurer in the state of Arkansas and some outside of the state of Arkansas provided proposals to do either a fully insured plan, which is what we have now with UHC, or a self-insured plan. What the broker has now showed, this is the most cost-efficient health insurance plan for our city employees at $17 million without the CIN. That's what you have before you, is a self-insured plan without the CIN. And the CIN showed increased cost, but still cheaper than what we pay right now, but it is increased cost. That's what's before you right now. So a broker goes to the market and asks people to submit bids. Those people submitted their bids. We shared all that last week when JTS did a very thorough presentation and demonstrated everyone who did submit a bid. This is the most cost efficient for our city. And I also want to make sure when one discusses tabling, our employees expect to do their enrollment the first week of November. They do that every year. And if we table, you put 2 weeks, our HR department 2 weeks behind, and that hurts our employees. I just want to make sure. So you can make a table. I just want to make sure you understand the impact of your tabling. Director Computers.
Just a quick comment, Mayor. As you know, over the last week, I have spent a number of hours talking with our consultants and talking about how we can further this. As you also know, I have been very fervent in that the long-term viability of our city, as far as insurance is concerned, revolves around getting the best insurance, the best results, and the best care for our citizens. And in the world we live in, to say everything, you can do anything you want, anytime you want, puts us in a position where we can't do what we need to do. And financially, this city can't continue doing what we've been doing. And I agree with the mayor that the self-funded plan is the best thing forward. I don't agree with him that a self-funded plan without some barriers, without some control, is the right thing to do. As of this morning, when the mayor and I talked, we were pretty much in agreement. This afternoon, a member of his staff sent this out to a large body of people, and I had a number of telephone calls from policemen and different things. I want you to know that we will be presenting to the board tonight. If at all possible, I highly recommend that you watch or attend. We presented the plan that we reviewed in our last meeting. However, there's one board member, me, that insists on a CN be included. What this will mean that we'll be pushing monetary incentives to use the CIN positions. That's true, but you're going to stay right at your same price with whoever you have. So nothing changes. I have been through the process where we went with the municipal league, and I understand that. This method will also cost the city more money to implement. That is also true, but you have to have a system in order to do things. I'm letting you know this because I don't want you to think that I or JTS decided to change everything after it was presented to you. We will keep you posted on further developments. It is my thought that we need some time in order to let people understand the different options. I have a resolution here that would include the CIN, but I don't think it is fair to do it in the context of now we scared the city employees that we're doing something bad to them or that we shouldn't be doing to them. And so I think we need to put this off for a while. I know the enrollment date is November the 1st. That doesn't mean we can't work towards that right now. It doesn't mean that everything stops today. We still have that opportunity to be ready and to help enroll people. So that would be my position, that we have now created doubt in the minds of our employees that we're going to do something like we did with the municipal league. And I don't think that's fair to them. I don't think it's fair to them for me to say, I'm going to give you this and you vote on it, till people have the opportunity to understand what we're talking about. And over the next 2 weeks, we can get educated on it. And if we think the risk of moving ahead with a self-funded plan without guardrails on it is the thing we want to do, and we take the risk, we need to do it eyes wide open. But I don't think it's fair to do it tonight.
Ms. Bradford, if you would please approach. I think you should share with the board your communication, because board members are aware, I believe, that there's a healthcare task force with employees before we make decisions. Can you?
Sure, thank you. My name is Jenny Bradford, and I am the Benefits and Risk Manager for the City of Little Rock. A year ago, we were in this, not the same room, but the same situation where we were looking at our insurance renewal. We considered going self-insured at that time. When we were considering going self-insured, we ended up with a fully insured quote that was a better quote. It wasn't as expensive. We didn't have the uncertainties. At the time, I believe it was you, Dr. Compuris, that said, we've got to do what's right by our employees. We've got to give them the coverage that they deserve. Go ahead, 12 months. We have been working on this for at least 6 months or longer with JTS, trying to collect all the data, get all the information about going self-insured or staying actually fully insured. Part of that process is having a healthcare task force that we run this information by. I was the one that sent the email. The email was out to our healthcare task force. Before this was presented last week, we met with that healthcare task force and we told them what we were presenting. They know about the CIN, they know about self-insured, they know about fully insured. What we told them in that meeting was what we were recommending moving forward, which was we were recommending going self-insured with UMR without the CIN. So we sent that email out today because that plan had changed, or we were told that it could change. It was in no way meant to scare anybody. Everybody on that email chain knew what was going on. And all of them can tell you that. So that wasn't something sent to our employees. My only goal is to get the best coverage for our employees and save money for our city. And I sincerely believe the proposal that we put forth actually does that.
Thank you, Ms. Bradford. Also, Mr. Moore, will you share the reason why this recommendation, because Director Computer is correct. We pretty much were going one way, but out of the advice from HR and yourself, could you share the reason why we have this before us today?
The board would know I have been a proponent of a fully insured plan in my entire tenure. And we talked a lot about self-insurance and or self-funded. We went with the municipal league at one point, but it's always been my goal to provide the best benefit to our employees, and I think that's this board's goal ultimately. I'll be honest. Considering where we are with a pandemic and COVID, I'm nervous about going self-funded. You can have a great year and you can have a bad year. And so, however, I do think obviously one of the items is a stop loss coverage, which is critical. But when you looked at the fully insured plans that we received, there was an increase, almost 4%, I believe. And then we looked at some of the safeguards that are included in this self-funded plan. That's why it's before us. But again, it's important from an HR perspective, from the executive administration perspective, and then from the board perspective, providing the best plan for our employees and their families is the ultimate goal.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore is correct. He has always been a proponent of doing fully insured. And I think this board, and I quote Director Computers, is that every time we do fully insured, we're going to bank on an increase. And we've seen an increase before this board every year since I've been here, which has been 2 years and a little about 10 months. And we've had an increase in our health insurance on the fully insured. But this board, and particularly Director Computers, asked for us that we have to start the path to move from fully insured to self-insured. So what we have before us is a self-insured plan, which is the most cost benefit to our budget and the largest line item besides salaries to our budget, and it creates our budgeting process, and our employees do have. So either we remain in fully insured and it will be a 4% increase of what we're spending right now, or we transition to self-insured which is cheaper and a cost benefit, and the recommendation from Human Resources, recommendation from the Office of Executive Administration, from the city manager, and what the board has asked us to do. So that's what's before you. Director Computers does have a CIN resolution. If Director Computers wants to pursue that resolution, he can add it, and it'll cost an additional $400,000. That's why he has that resolution before him today. And so that's really where we are. There's nothing going to happen between now and 2 weeks, except for delays to our employees. Director Hines, you're next up.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Hines.
Thank you. I think part of what it seems to be pattern and practice over the years that we get information at the last minute, it seems like, and then we get our feet here as a board held to the fire to vote. You know, my serious question is why didn't we have some of this information weeks ago? You know, I don't know what that answer is, but I think that's why you're seeing us dig our heels in a little bit, trying to wrap our minds around it. And I guess I thought that the information we had last week was the additional money for the clinically integrated network was more like 178,000. Am I?
No, sir. What we shared with the city board after we had a very long presentation, there were two options, one with CIN, one without CIN. The one with CIN showed what the cost would be at somewhere around 169,000. After further research, not necessarily research, because there was adamant, we can go back to the tape, there was a lot of discussion about utilizing CIN from Director Computers. Director Computers said, hey, let's have some meetings. He had some meetings. Through those meetings, the price actually increased to $375,000. When it increased, we had to make the decision, do we keep this increase that adds to the 17 million, still cost benefit cheaper, but we understood that that wasn't the right thing to do, and that's the reason why we decided not to bring it before the board. So you're seeing the exact same thing that was communicated to you last week. Mr. Director Computers.
I get that, but this is the first I'm hearing that there was a cost increase. I thought we were dealing with 178,000, not 300. And that's why the confusion, and that was not communicated to us at the board level.
No.
And when I looked at this online earlier today, it had a price tag of 178,000. It didn't have a $300,000 price tag on it.
And I don't know what you saw online, but the only thing that has here is what you saw last week. There's no different than that. Now Mr. Moore, the clerk, would have to share if there's anything different. The only thing that's been online, to my knowledge, Mr. Moore, clerk, is the self-insured. There's been no addition.
Well, I can tell you, I looked this morning.
And I'm not disputing that.
And so what I saw was a modification to add a CIN in there this morning when I checked it online, and it was at 170, whatever the number.
Was that on that, clerk? Susan, did you put that? Again, Vice Mayor, I don't know.
Okay, well, I guess my fellow board members can look, but I guess I don't think I was imagining it this morning when I looked at it online. I didn't print it out. What I am trying to communicate here is, you know, we've gotten into this rut and it predates your administration, Mayor. When we get down into budget time, all of a sudden, we're working on budget to the last minute. I mean, it's pattern and practice that it seems like we try to get bulldogged into making a decision, and this may be the right decision, and I don't want to let perfect be the enemy of good in this. And so I get what we're talking about, and I thought we were going to be able to add the CIN for 180,000. This is the first time hearing that the cost has increased, and I'd love to hear from Dr. Campiris on this, but you know, we're talking about, you know, and just a lot of information not being given to us and us being had to make a decision of what I feel like. But I'd like to hear what Dr. Campiris has to say about CIN if he's talking about the bumpers and rail guards that he wants.
But Director Hines, I just want to make sure we understand isn't any different what we did last year in regards to the timing. The board has always gotten a presentation on health insurance from their broker and asked as many questions and shared that it will come up the next week. That happened last year, happened in 2019. It happened in 2018 before I was here as well. So there's no difference in what's happened in the past. Next, we have Director Wright.
Well, I thought I heard that our consultant went out for bids for self-insured as well as full insured. And I say that because I'm sure all my colleagues got this email from a company called Cigna that said that they submitted a fully insured plan that would save the city $2.5 million as over what we spent last year. So if they can save us $2.5 million, why was that not considered?
Yes, Jenny, if you'll come up, because that information that the board received, that was after the procurement process. It
Yeah,
wasn't
but
additional.
they said they submitted it during the procurement process.
Ms. Bradford?
So an RFP was sent out this summer asking for responses to our bid for services. We, when I spoke with JTS this morning, they did submit a fully insured program, which was in the packet materials that you had last week or 2 weeks ago. At that time, we were under the impression that we were going fully self-insured. One of the things that we said going forward is if looks like we want to stay self-insured, we need to look at that. They sent a second quote to us after the deadline. After they watched our meeting last week, in fact, they sent out those quotes to everybody on the board. So that's exactly what happened. It wasn't something that we were withholding from you. It was there in the packet all along. I was going to let John Starling here explain part of that.
So to answer your question, we quoted fully insured and self-funded with every carrier. The RFP went out to any applicable carriers that wanted to bid. Cigna was one of those carriers, along with United Healthcare and a few other carriers. On the self-funded side, Cigna did not submit a timely quote, or they submitted a quote, but it was not competitive on the self-funded side. On the fully insured side, they offered 3 or 4 different plans, one of which was very competitive. It was roughly a 10% decrease, if I remember off the top of my head, on a fully insured basis with very comparable, if not similar benefits to what we had. But at the time, the focus was looking at self-funded. And on our self-funded quote that we had with UMR, which is a subsidiary or a company related to United Healthcare, same network, same providers, same everything, we got a self-funded quote where our expected was actually somewhere with the PBM savings at a $4 million savings. And at that time, weighing the difference between the fully insured options versus the self-funded, the board decided to go, or the city decided to move forward looking at the self-funded. That's something that we have been told the whole time, we are looking at self-funded so that we can control our cost. And that comes from several individuals on the board. But those proposals were fully printed, spreadsheeted, shown, and all that. And the decision was to move forward with the self-funded opportunity to have more savings.
So Cigna was considered.
Cigna was on our spreadsheet. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Mayor, I'd like to hear what Dr. Pierce has to say, since he knows more about insurance. I know he had his hand up, but I'm not clear on some things.
He has his hand up, but we're going to go in the order of other directors that have been waiting as well. Director Peck.
Thank you. And if Dr. Pierce doesn't want to speak, I'll go ahead and do it. Dean, Doctor, Director, Triple D.
Yep.
Okay. I am not comfortable voting on this yet. I would like to table 5, 6, and M4. I understand how important the healthcare is of our city staff. It's the most important thing, and I think all of my colleagues would agree with that. I understand the enrollment date is looming. It's October the 5th. I know Director Compuris has done a lot of work. The whole team has. I'm not prepared to vote, so I'm moving to table 5, 6, and M4 for 2 weeks.
Second.
Well, there's no motion or second because we already have the resolution and there's been a motion second on that resolution and we went to the Q&A, so we're still in Q&A. So from a parliamentary procedure,
Motion to table can be made at any time prior to the vote of the app. So she can make it as a timely motion now with the second, and then you find out whether it's to be tabled.
Can the chair entertain? Not. Again, we'll take the vote. But I just want to make sure the board is aware what we have before us, and we can take 2 weeks, and we'll take 2 weeks, if that's what the board wants to do, but it does delay, it does impact our employees. And the question before us again, and Ms. Bradford, you'll lay out what's all before the board, what'll happen in 2 weeks.
Point of order, Mayor. Point of order.
Jenny,
Point of order.
Jenny, please carry on.
Mayor.
The parliamentarian can share the rules. Jenny, please carry on.
So
Point of order, Mayor.
actually this year, the reason that
Point of order, Mayor.
Parliamentarian.
Mr. Parliamentarian, point of order. Chairs.
So it can be stated to see if it's a.
Parliamentarian Shear, Vice Mayor.
A motion to table is not a debatable information. Motion and second, and we should proceed to the vote with no more debate on a motion to table.
Is that correct, Mr. Parliamentarian?
That's correct.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it. Thank you so much, Ms. Bradford. Thank you, Mr. Starling.
Mayor, if I can, for just a.
Yes, Director.
Point of order for the parliamentarian and for those watching. And I know this is probably confusing to a lot of people. Can we restate what was tabled for 2 weeks, just for those watching, so we know what we did?
M4, no.
Resolutions 5, 6, and M4.
No, that was not. It was only M4, but I will combine the two, but it's only M4 for the record. M4 to move. Actually, 1 second. Get the actual.
So was M5 included in that anywhere?
No, it's
Okay.
not, but I'm going to add it to it.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the exact. Actually, it was item number 6. It wasn't M4 or 5. Item number 6, the resolution to move the self-insured, was tabled for a period of time, for 2 weeks. I will add items M4 and 5 to be considered then as well. Well, now,
Okay, so 6, M4 and M5. What about 5?
I'll add all health insurance that were not included in Director Peck's motion. I will redirect for October the 19th. Madam Clerk, if you will, please rate item number 7 for the first time.
Too many pages. An ordinance to repeal ordinance number 18,593 of November 20th, 2021 to revoke a planned residential district titled Presbyterian Village, long form PRD, to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes first reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to repeal ordinance number 18,593 to revoke a planned residential district titled Presbyterian Village, long form PRD, to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to repeal ordinance number 18,593 to revoke a planned residential district titled Presbyterian Village, long form PRD, to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. Excuse me. Third and final reading.
We've now had 3 readings. Are there any questions? Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item number 8 for the first time.
An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 21,946 of December 29th, 2020 to adjust the fiscal year 2021 budget ordinance to reflect revenue and expenditure adjustments for the general fund, street fund, fleet fund, vehicle storage fund, waste disposal fund, and the parking garage fund to declare an emergency and for the purposes first reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it, second reading.
An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 21,946 to adjust the fiscal year 2021 budget ordinance to reflect revenue and expenditure adjustments for the general fund, street fund, fleet fund, vehicle storage fund, waste disposal fund, and the parking garage fund to declare an emergency. Second reading.
There's been,
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. This ayes have it. We'll go to the third reading, Director Wright.
Mayor, my objection is to the fact that all these are bundled together. So if I object to one of these line items, I would have to vote against all of these. My objection is about us continuing to pour money into the 12th Street Station. And at the last count, I believe it would be, at the end of this, would be $14 million into that one building. And I think that's just excessive. And I am very deeply concerned about that because there are other projects and things that we have that we've not been able to get any additional money for. And the fact that we continue to pour money into this, I just don't understand. So the fact that this is all lumped in together as one item, I will have to vote against this.
Yes, Mr. Moore, you want to explain? This is the budget amendment process to the city board.
I think 2 points. We always, when we do budget amendments, and we sometimes have done multiple throughout the year, but when the changes, whether it's revenue or expenditures, they're all always in one ordinance. And 2, I think it's very important, as I noted last week, but the city's going to recoup these dollars through lease agreements with Southern Bancorp, with UMS, and with Philander Smith. So we are putting the money up front so we can have one contractor do all the work. But as soon as the bids come in next week, we're going to negotiate lease agreements, which the board will have to approve. But I think that's a critical difference is the dollars that we're appropriating and that you all are appropriating tonight will all be recouped.
Over what period of time?
I had one of the partners tell me yesterday that they put up their money up front. So I think it's gonna be different for all three.
So we're talking 5 years, 10 years, 20 years?
No, again, one of the partners said yesterday they're willing to pay it off as soon as we open. We haven't really got into the lease portions with the other two, just because we don't know what those amounts are going to be.
Director Adcock.
Yes, Mr. Moore, is this to include a parking lot or something? Because there's no parking around that area. We have a new parking lot over on the other side in front of the Hoover Church. And I've gone by there several times and there's never an automobile in there. So where are the employees for this business going to be parking?
You know, to me, it's very remarkable because I do the same thing that nobody's in the city paid for that. It's actually behind Hoover. But I mean, that's an obvious place. We're actually with the current construction project, we're going to put lights in there and everything. So I'm going to recommend that that's where they park. And, you know, with Philander, a lot of their students don't have vehicles. They're going to be, that's why it's great that it's on 12th Street. They'll be riding, you know, Rock Region. And so I feel pretty good about the parking situation.
This is the only one of these items that I too object to. At the Hinton Center, we're giving up lots of parking now to someone is parking there all the time that are not in meetings and not attendants there. So I would like to ask that you ask the people at the Hinton Center to start finding out who's parking in the parking lot that our guests should be parking in, and then have some parking for the people in these offices. How many offices will there be for 1 point something million?
There's three entities, the bank, UMS, and they're going to have a sort of a wellness feeding. And then Flanders Smith will have classrooms and community space.
And how much is the rent that will be for on a yearly basis coming in?
Again, the bids are out on the street now. The contractors have to bid each of the sections separately. So we'll have a number for each of the entities. And once we have that number, we'll sit down and negotiate.
Let me put that another way. Will we be collecting rent from all three of the tenants in this building?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Third reading.
An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 21,946 to adjust the fiscal year 2021 budget ordinance to reflect revenue and expenditure adjustments for the general fund, street fund, fleet fund, vehicle storage fund, waste disposal fund, and the parking garage fund to declare an emergency. Third and final reading.
We've now had 3 readings. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it. There's also emergency clause. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it. Before,
We've got 9, only heard one nay.
Well, I heard Jay.
I only heard one nay. I only heard one nay. We haven't had a roll call. So ayes have it.
Do we need a roll call?
We don't need a roll call. I did, unless you want one, but we understand now we have 9 individuals. We no longer have 10. Heard all the ayes. Ayes have it.
I want to be registered.
You are registered as name.
Emergency clause and on.
You are. Thank you. So as we get ready, I want to take this time now to thank those 20 applicants that have taken their time and their attention to serve and in the desire to serve Ward 1 as a Ward 1 director. We know we have laid out a process. That process actually started last week when we transitioned the paperwork for all of the 20 applicants to serve in the late great City Director Irma Hendricks Ward 1 seat. We also know these individuals have to be Ward 1 residents, and a part of that process we'll have to go through a ranking process of the 20 individuals. After that ranking process, 7 individuals will be ranked and come before the city board next week to have a public discussion and interview process. And from there, the city board will eventually vote on the successor of City Director Irma Hendricks. We want to make sure the public is aware of the process. We laid it out 2 weeks ago, but still want to ensure that we're being as open as possible about this process and the public is aware. Director Wright, you have a question?
Yes, it's not about that. I wanted to ask follow-up question that I had last time regarding the September 24th memo from the city manager regarding the liens by ward. I'd asked for a total of all these liens so that I could find out how much money is out there in liens. Has that total been generated yet?
Mr. Moore?
It is not. We're working on it.
I'd appreciate it if we could have that probably by our next board meeting. Do you think you could have it by then?
Well, I know the staff's working on it, so we'll have it as soon as we can.
Director Compiers? Or
Thank you.
Director Wright, I'm sorry. Did you have some?
Thank you.
Director Compiers?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know if this is for executive committee, for our time alone, or if I should do this here, but I would like to, as I've looked over these 20 people, many of them I know, many of them I don't know. And if you look at 20 people and you subtract the 7 we're going to interview, that leaves 13 people. And if you say we're going to give those 13 people the same amount of time or a little bit less, we're just talking about 2 hours more of time. And I have a hard time personally. I've gotten word from more than 7 people worth of recommendations for people to be on this board. And I would like the board to consider that we interview all 20 people, not just the 7 people, that however we come to that. It will mean another 2 hours of your time. I know that. But to be fair and honest to people, I think everybody ought to have the chance to stand up in front of us and the people and say, this is why I think. And, BJ and Joan have told me that for the whole time I've been here. And when we were campaigning, we would be on a Zoom call, and I'd be ready to get off. And Antoine kept saying, I'll just stay here all night long and let them answer as many questions as I want. And it just seems like for 2 hours of time, we ought to consider letting everybody make a presentation, be done with it, then we can make a decision. That would be my recommendation. And I don't know if that's something we ought to go into executive session and talk about, but I wanted people to know that I was going to make that suggestion. It's certainly not a proposal or anything like that.
As chair, we lay out the process and have laid out the process. When we go into executive session, we can consider that. Director Phillips?
No, my hand was raised from earlier, so I'm sorry, Mayor. I'll take that down.
All right. Director Wright, is your hand still up?
No, I don't think it is.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to go in executive session?
So moved.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. We'll go in executive session. We'll report back. Director Wells, Mr. Wells, we have not taken any action. What we have done is what we shared 2 weeks ago when we laid out the process, that we would go in executive session to rank the 7 and come back out and share the 7, as with every executive session. That will happen. I agree. We are going to do that. Yes, ma'am.